Hi everyone, in this new stitch video I'm going to show you how to do the little shells pattern. This is a variation of the little shells pattern. There's a few others that are out there, but this one I think is really simple and it provides a fabric that looks really nice and cute. I have a couple samples here. This one I've knit in acrylic yarn. You can see it's a thicker yarn, it's worsted weight. I knit this with size 9 needles. Right now I have it on a chopstick, but yeah, it still looks good with a thick yarn as well as with a thin yarn. So this one here is 100% cotton, really lightweight yarn. You can see here I also put a little border here. So this, I think this pattern would look great for like a blanket. Would look fine for a scarf too, but I think it'll look great for a blanket, especially if you put a nice little border. So I have my little mini doll blanket here. The details of the pattern are in the description field, and I would put this at an advanced beginner level, or definitely an intermediate, but I think an advanced beginner should be able to do this as well. It's really not that difficult. The pattern is knit on a multiple of 6 stitches plus 1. And I think I'm going to cast on 13 stitches here. So let's do 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. I'm going to cast on a couple more, and I'm just using the long tail cast on. You can use any cast on of your choice, and you don't need double pointed needles. All right, now the best part is the pattern is a 4-row repeat, but 3 of those rows are just knit or purl all the way around. So the very first row is just knit all the way across. So I'm just going to go ahead and knit. And maybe speed up through this part a little bit. Okay, so that's row 1, all knit, and that's your right side row. And row 2 is just purl all the way across. So you purl. And that's it, just a simple purl. So we'll speed up through this part a bit. For row 3, you're actually going to do a little bit more than a knit, just a plain knit or a purl. And it's just for that one row, and I like to call that the pattern row. So for that row, the pattern goes, you're going to knit the first stitch, and then you do a yarn over and then a purl one. So the yarn over, because it's before a purl stitch, you're going to actually take it all the way around. Okay, if this next stitch was just a knit stitch, then the yarn over would have just been essentially bringing the yarn to the front. But because it's a purl, you're going to take the yarn all the way around, bring it back to the front like this. You've created that extra stitch, which is what we want. And then you do a purl 1. And then you do a purl 3 together. And what that means is you're going to take your needle and insert it into the front loops of all 3 stitches here. Okay, just imagine that's like one big giant stitch. And you're inserting it through all 3 loops, purling it through all 3 stitches, and then dropping all 3 stitches off. Okay, creates this little bit of a bobble, and we want that because that's our nice little texture. So you've taken 3 stitches and decreased it down to 1 stitch. Then the pattern goes purl 1. Your yarn is already in the front, so you're just going to purl. And then it says yarn over, knit 1. Now, because the next stitch is a knit stitch and the yarn is already in the front, I don't need to do anything. I don't have to bring it all the way around again. I just leave it in the front like this and knit it. Now, you might say, then why do we have that yarn over in there? Well, if that yarn over notation wasn't there, then, let me actually put this back. If the yarn over notation wasn't there and if it just said knit 1, I would have actually taken the yarn to the back to knit it, right? But in this case, I don't want to do that. I want the yarn in the front. So that's why you have that yarn over notation to tell you to leave the yarn in the front and then do the knit, because we took 3 stitches down to 1 stitch, but we made up those 2 stitches that we decreased by doing those 2 yarn overs, the yarn over at the start and this yarn over. So that is your pattern repeat for the whole row all the way down to the end. I only have one more pattern repeat, so let me do that one more time. Yarn over, remember that first yarn over, you do it all the way around. Then a purl 1, a purl 3 together. Make sure you don't split the yarn. Let me do that one more time. Okay, and then a purl 1, and then a yarn over, knit 1. Again, leave the yarn in the front and knit 1. And that's row 3. You turn your work, and row 4 is our friendly purl row. So we just purl all the way across. You keep doing these 4 rows, your pattern will start to look like this, and the little shells start to form. This one I knit with a worsted weight yarn, and you can see it lays pretty flat. I haven't blocked this piece or anything, but it it does tend to scrunch up a little bit, so you can kind of stretch it out and block it, and you'll see that better in this sample here. So this cotton sample that I knit up here, I have another one knit up with that same exact yarn, and this, I haven't done anything to it. I just knit it and bound off, and you can see how it's kind of scrunched up. So if I wanted to spread it out, I'm going to have to block it. So I would, if I wanted to block this piece, which is what I did to this one, I'll take it, kind of stretch it out to where I see the pattern, pin it all the way around on a piece of fabric or a blanket or something, and then hold and iron maybe an inch or an inch and a half on the steam setting, hold it above this to just moisten it and flatten it out. And as you can see, once I've done that, it lays nice and flat. I hope you give this one a try. As always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments field. I'll do my best to answer them. And thank you so much for watching my channel. It means a lot. Happy knitting.